What's up everyone, Coach Tony from Bonvex Strength, and today I'm going to talk about a deadlift analogy that I really like using with beginner lifters to help them understand how they should approach the start of the deadlift and solve one of the most common deadlift problems, and that's the hips shooting up early. So very often we see in the deadlift, regardless of the variation, that people get into a good starting position, but they don't develop enough tension into the bar and they try to start the lift too quickly, which causes them to go like this. My hips shoot up early, the bar gets out in front of me, and that puts a lot of tension into my back instead of my legs. Now, the analogy that we use is to start your deadlift like a rocket ship taking off, not like you're shooting a cannonball out of a cannon. And the visual here is pretty strong and it resonates with a lot of people because if you're shooting a cannonball out of a cannon, it starts very fast, but it doesn't go very far and then it slows way down. Now, when you think of a rocket ship, rocket ships take a long time to take off. All the fire and all the smoke billows up and it starts slowly, but then eventually it takes off, it goes very fast, and it goes very far. So you want your deadlift to be like a rocket ship, develop that tension a little more slowly to be able to go further and lift heavier weights. So there is such a thing as trying to go too fast at the start of your deadlift. Too fast is often worse than too slow. So what we want people to do at the beginning of their deadlift, get into their good deadlift position, but try to develop as much tension as possible by squeezing the bar tight with your hands, by bending the bar around the front of the shins, by trying to feel your hamstrings, by really sticking your butt out to the wall behind you. And once you feel like you've developed all that tension, you're turning into that rocket ship, you're maybe shaking a little bit like I am right now, then you can kind of grind the bar off the floor and accelerate as you go up. You see a lot of good deadlifters start slow at the start. It doesn't look like they're trying to rip the bar off the ground. They grind and then accelerate. This is especially important for sumo deadlifters where a slow start is almost a necessity. You almost never see top level sumo deadlifters get down to the bar and just rip and rip because that wider stance makes it a little harder to generate speed off the floor, but it reduces the range of motion, so you're making that trade-off. You don't have to move the bar as far, but you can't try to rip it off the ground as aggressively as you would a conventional deadlift. So sumo deadlifters especially need to really be rocket ships where I'm developing all that tension, I'm feeling the outsides of my hips, I'm pulling my chest tall, bending that bar slow, then fast. A lot of times you'll see 1 rep max attempts for good sumo deadlifters. The bar won't move at all. They're pulling, but if they just stick with it, eventually that bar will move. So the point being, a little slower is better than trying to be too fast at the start of your deadlift. So don't try to shoot a cannonball out of a cannon. Instead, make your deadlifts like a rocket ship taking off.